You're listening to Amazing Radio. It's Amazing Afternoons. Delighted to say that Rosie H Sullivan is on the line with me right now. Rosie, how are you? Where are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Very good. Do we find yourself in Scotland today?
I am in Scotland. Yes, I'm in Edinburgh. I'm in my very cold flat in Edinburgh. So I have like two jumpers on, and I'm got a blanket on. I'm all wrapped up. You can't see the blanket though. This is a professional Zoom call. So yeah, in cozy Edinburgh.
Yeah, there's a bit of a philosophy and a bit of a thing going around. Don't put the heating on, put a jumper on. It's just the times we're in, isn't it, Rosie?
Yeah, that's the way I like to live. I think I had three jumpers on the other day. That was a bit of a record.
um, is it fair to say that your upbringing on the Isle of Lewis has kind of shaped you as a person and your music?
Yeah, totally. I take a lot of inspiration from Lewis, from where I was brought up, and yeah, until I was 18, 19, that was the only thing I knew. That was all I knew. I was in the same house for all those years, and yeah, it was somewhere that I hold very close in my heart, and that comes through in my music and writing in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I recently spoke to Mull Historical Society, who
Oh yeah.
is famously from that Isle of Mull as well. And he said that people, unless you'd lived in a kind of isolated environment like an island situation, it's kind of unique and as an artist quite inspiring because you don't feel to buckle to trends or anything like that of like living in city life or even city culture because there just isn't any. So it's up to you to be your own artist.
Totally. It's a very yeah, it's like kind of there's definitely kind of positives and negatives, I think I'd say, to being there. It's a small place and I love it. But yeah, it's very, very different to city life. And yeah, being brought up there and kind of moving to Edinburgh is like a big kind of culture shock and a big change. So I've written many songs about that kind of duality as well. Because yeah, it's very contrasting.
Yeah, I bet it is. We have been loving the EP here at Amazing Radio, and it actually came up in an office chat as well. You've provided a couple of session tracks for us this afternoon as well, which we'll get on to. We're going to hear chapters very soon from the EP. But I want to try and find out more from you, for the listeners, about you as an artist. I mean, has it always been the guitar? Was that the first instrument you picked up? And how has your writing process changed from your early stuff to now?
Yeah, the first my very first instrument was the fiddle. When I was like 8 or 9, I think that was the first instrument I picked up. And then my auntie is a singer-songwriter, and when I was younger, I just really looked up to her. And I always sang a lot anyway, and I was always quite creative. But I really liked the sound of the fiddle, so I started playing that. And then I think I was about 11 or 12. I was like, oh, I really want a guitar. I want to be like my auntie. But I was kind of like dropping the fiddle. So my dad was like, if you keep going the fiddle, we'll get you the guitar. So I kept going, and I yeah, did both and just got into the guitar, and then kind of just picked it up quite quickly and started writing songs like imminently, really. And yeah, things just kind of flowed from there, which was really, really nice. It was never really a decision. It was just something that kind of happened. And yeah, as I say, I've always been creative, and I think music and writing especially has always been my outlet. So to kind of put writing and music together just made sense and just felt really natural for me. So I feel super lucky that I actually get to do that as like a job now. And it's a very surreal feeling that I kind of write these songs first and foremost for me, and then I can release them and they connect with people in different ways, and people can sing along to them at gigs. It's still like, I don't think I'll ever get over that feeling.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I guess the essence of folk is storytelling, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah. I think also growing up on a small Scottish island, there's a lot of like traditional folk music influencing me in many different ways. And that was always a part of it. And with my first instrument being fiddle, there's definitely a lot of that still plays a part, but I'm just growing as a person, and I'm now in Edinburgh and I'm studying music as well. And you kind of get all these little influences that seep in. And I think it makes it really interesting because it's like you're a product of what you listen to and what you like and what you surround yourself with. And I find that really interesting. And like every day I'm growing and like finding pockets of inspiration or influence in different places where I thought I maybe wouldn't find it. And everything kind of feeds into my music and my writing.
Yeah, I guess as well, today we find ourselves where some of the biggest artists around are alt folk, alt country artists. We have people like Phoebe Bridgers break through in the last couple of years as well. I mean, current influences, are you looking at America, at their kind of alternative scene, or are you looking closer to home? I mean, what's influencing you at the moment, music-wise, that is?
Yeah, I think there's so many. It's always like an ever evolving kind of cycle. Phoebe Bridgers is a huge one. She's like, yeah, massive influence for me. I love her stuff. In recent years, Laura Marling has been a massive one. I really got into her in 2020. And yeah, she's kind of a constant that I listen to.
And with Laura as well, I feel like she's been around forever, but she hasn't. But she really did pick up the baton for UK folk, didn't she? And she's totally pioneering at the front end of that now, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. Like she's she's just amazing, and she's kind of done alternative stuff in the last few years as well, which has been really, really cool to see. And I think it's really, I think genre can be a bit of a controversial one. And whenever someone asks me what my genre is, I never really know what to say. I'm kind of like indie folk, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think it's always nice to kind of push boundaries, and Laura Marling's done a lot of that, and Phoebe Bridgers as well. Recently been listening to a lot of Gregory Alan Isaacoff as well. And yeah, there's a band called Bear's Den who I've loved for years, since when I first started writing, and they've just released a new album which I've kind of had on repeat. So yeah, it's really nice to kind of just lengthen and like bigger my knowledge and variation of what I listen to and what influences me. And yeah, there's been a lot recently, so that's kind of at the minute what I'm into.
Yeah, okay then. We'll pause the chat for now because you have provided a couple of brilliant session tracks for us. And I think it's apt that we play Chapters because that's on the new EP, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this track if you wouldn't mind.
So Chapters I actually started writing when I was 17. And I kind of pretty much wrote verse, chorus, and then I just tucked it away. I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, wasn't a big fan of it. I got a comment about it from an ex-boyfriend who didn't like it, and I decided to take that feedback on and never look at the song again. And then last year, my managers, my producer, my label were all like, Rosie, this is a great song. And I was like, no. And I'd just completely gone off it. And then I went into studio earlier this year, I think it was February or something, went in, and my producer was like, oh, why don't have a look at Chapters today? I was like, this is a setup, isn't it? So everyone had been behind my back kind of like gathering and really wanted me to do this song. So I was like, right, you know what? I trust my team and I trust you. So we went into the studio, and myself and Ross, my producer, we sat down and we wrote the now bridge section of that song. And we put really cool drums on it, and got some more instruments in, got some trumpet on it, and channeled my inner Feist, who I absolutely love as well. And ended up just kind of rebirthing and just loving the song all over again, which was a really, really special moment. So it was really nice to kind of write that song in two different chapters of my life, when I'm 17 and when I'm 21. And I think having that kind of duality of, I think I wrote that song and didn't really almost think too much about what I was saying because I was still quite young, and it was, it's only 4 years ago, but like I think a lot has changed in that time, and I wrote it and it kind of has this like innocence and vulnerability to it that is just the way it is because I was 17. And now kind of adding a new chapter into that song was really nice. And I also managed to sneak the EP title into the bridge as well, which was quite nice to have that somewhere in the EP.
Oh, very good indeed. Let's hear it then. This is Chapters from the EP In My Nature by Rosie H Sullivan here on Amazing Radio.
An evening full of words, a morning full of silence, the balance of life's delights, songs of the soul, songs of paved in your path, the path of your future, the path of your past. What do you choose when it's time? When did you decide to open up your eyes? Life is for the living, dreams are for the dreaming, hope is for the hoping, love is for the loving. In the chapters of life, and it's in my nature to turn this page, but it's hard for me. And the chapter's closed, but there's more for me to say. And I'll take this paper wherever I'll go, and I'll write these words. It's all that I've known. Now the chapter's closed, our stories never end, never end. When did you decide to open up your eyes? Life is for the living, dreams are for the dreaming, hope is for the hoping, love is for the loving. In the chapters of life.
That was Chapters, Rosie H Sullivan here on Amazing Radio. Beautiful version of your track. You mentioned a couple of other things before we play the track, like fights. I can actually, on this EP, I hear a little bit of Sufjan Stevens there, and I know he's got a new record out, but he's great as well, isn't he? I want to speak about Ross Hamilton, because the process on this EP must have been a little bit different from maybe what you're used to. Tell me how it came about and where did you record it?
So me and Ross worked together on my first EP as well, and for my first EP I wanted it completely stripped back, guitar and vocals in the embryonic forms that I write the songs, and then for this second one I was like, let's push it a little bit further, be a bit more open-minded. And Ross is just an amazing person. He's so talented, and it's just an honor to even work with him on anything, let alone 2 records now. So yeah, working with Ross is a dream, and we wrote some of the songs on the EP together as well, and then recorded them together, recorded in his studio in Paisley in Scotland, which is nice, so nice and close to home. And yeah, it's always really great writing with Ross, and it's always good fun, but also really inspiring, and he's just such a great guy.
Yeah, I mean, the space where you create is very important. Is it the kind of space where, and you sounds like you're very open-minded at the moment, especially on this EP, where you would look around and say, why don't we stick that on this track? Is it that kind of environment? And does Ross encourage that?
Yeah, totally. Like there's been times where I think this EP I've been more open-minded. Last year there was a few times I was like, no, we're not doing that. But I've learned to trust Ross a lot, and it's really annoying. Like he'll say something and be like, let's try this, and I'll be like, it's not going to work, and then we'll do it and it'll be like the best thing that we've done, and I'll be like, oh, okay. So yeah, I really trust Ross's judgment, and it's really fun just to kind of play about and experiment with things. And like we've got videos of just set up like microphones in the middle of the room, and me and Ross are just like clapping like into it, and I was like, we're trying so hard not to laugh, because you just feel silly sometimes doing things in the studio, but then it works really well. And then there's just random videos of me just like playing like one key on a piano. I'm like, this is a bit weird, but again, these things all feed into it, and it's part of the bigger picture in the end. And yeah, I think I've been a lot more open-minded, and I think it's always worth trying something. If you don't like it, Command Z, delete, just take it out.
Yeah, and I guess as well as a solo artist, it must be difficult at times to A, push yourself, B, have self-imposed deadlines. So finding the right person to push you along the way to make you a better artist, that must be quite hard to find that person. But when you get that person, very rewarding as well.
Totally, yeah. I think me and Ross have built up a really great, empowering friendship, but also professional relationship over the last year. And yeah, from doing the first record together, I think we've both grown individually but also grown together as a team, and he's yeah, there's no one else I would want to work with on those 2 EPs because he's just fantastic and he's made them what they are today, and just feel super lucky for that.
Right. Before we look forward, we're going to step back because the other track you did is So It Is, which I think might have been one of your first singles, was it?
Yeah, so It Is was my very first single, which came out in 2021.
Yeah. And so you've done a version of this for us. I mean, as an artist, do you feel you've come a long way since releasing this?
I think so. There's been a lot has happened since I put this song out into the world, and it was kind of just, yeah, we just kind of put this out, not really knowing what was going to come of it, and it was really nice. It's a very important song to me, and it was one of these songs that kind of just falls out. It's a bit of a stream of consciousness, and then you look back at the lyrics and you look back at the song and you're like, oh, what does that mean? But it's one of these songs that whenever I play it, I kind of, or hear it, I kind of take something different from it. So it's kind of an ever-evolving song in that aspect as well. But yeah, it's brought me a lot of good in the last few years, and I can sit here and speak to you because of that song, because it's brought me lots of opportunities. So yeah, it's a important one for me.
Good. So let's hear it. This is Rosie H Sullivan here on Amazing Radio. So It Is in session for us.
There's a mind and a soul waiting to be found. Where there's sun, there's a storm rising from the ground. So keep your peace, keep it all. There's a smoke from the chimneys of the home she's been before. Passed down through dreams and centuries she could not explore. So keep your peace, keep it all. And so it is after all. In the north there's a fire begging to be lit. Old and abandoned, stone cold it sits. So keep your peace, keep it all. And so it is after all. She smells like smoke and old things, and she holds a seed to the memories, and she waits for time to resume. Now she sits at the window, hoping to explore all the songs and the words, messy and unheard, what to do. So keep your peace, keep it all. And so it is, so it is, so it is, after all.
Rosie H Sullivan, and so it is here on Amazing Radio. Firstly, thank you so much for doing those session tracks for us, Rosie. Beautiful versions of those tracks. Now, we look forward. Do you have anything else up your sleeve before the end of the year?
Not right now. I had my last gig on Saturday. I'm still studying, so I'm going to throw myself into a massive heap of uni work, which I don't want to think about. I'm trying to procrastinate that, but yeah, after this I will be going and doing that. But yeah, so no more gigs for the rest of the year, but got some exciting things kind of planned for next year. And one of my biggest shows to date is going to be in January, at the end of January. So kicking off the year in a really lovely way, Celtic Connections in Glasgow, which is a super great festival, and I feel amazing to be part of that. It's an honour. So yeah, we've got a big show coming up at the end of January, and we've got my band coming with me and a few other special guests. So it's going to be a really, really lovely show. So just prepping for that and putting my all into that at the minute.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. But following that, I imagine you want to get back into the studio, if you haven't already been in already, to release more music.
Totally. I think I've been writing quite a lot at the minute. So no direct plans at the minute, but I think, yeah, just writing with more people and getting into the studio with Ross and putting some tracks down. And yeah, hopefully next year we'll see some more music getting out there. And yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to connect with people. And it's been a lovely year this year. I've released 2 EPs and been on 2 tours, and it's just been more than I could ask for. So if next year's anything like this year, I'll be a very happy little bunny.
Good. It sounds like you're in a really positive space at the moment, Rosie. Thanks once again for chatting to us. Thanks for the session. And we can't wait, first of all, for that gig in January and to see what you do after that.
Thank you so much.